Are you serious? Are you serious? We are very serious. We've got significant information we want to share with you right now, just now developing. And one is on Patreon. I've already posted it. It's there right now. And so you'll want to find out about that. It's just now posted. A very significant military movement. You'll need to go and find out about that. I can't say no more about that. That's at Patreon. All of my followers on Patreon, go there. You'll be able to get that information. If you're not a follower on Patreon, it's real easy. Just go there, go to Paul Begley Patreon, and sign up and get yourself locked into where you can get this exclusive content there. Let me put a shout out right now. NobleGoldInvestment.com over at PastorPaulGold.com. Gold has surged over $3,000 an ounce. That's 46%, guys. Seriously, incredible surge in gains. That's higher than the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. But this isn't just another rally. Global reserves are shifting. They're exposing cracks in the monetary system. Investors are losing confidence in paper gold. They're demanding the physical metal, creating a massive gap between what gold people own and gold people possess. Big difference. That's huge. And this isn't about how institutions get broke down. This is how you could profit from this shortfall. Right now, Noble Gold has a limited supply of investment-grade gold bars and gold coins available. And as banks scramble to fulfill their obligations, pushing gold prices even higher, you could profit from that. Smart investors are already moving into the physical gold. Noble Gold Investment makes it easy for you to do the same. And right now, when you make a qualified investment, right over there at www.PastorPaulGold.com, they will give you one free 1/10 of an ounce free gold coin. Guys, that's worth about $300. They'll give it to you for free if you qualify with your order. Do it now. Go to www.PastorPaulGold.com or call them on the phone at 877-646-5347. You will be very glad that you did. Tickets are available right now for the webinar that is unbelievable. We interviewed Rex Bear today. Oh, are you serious? And I interviewed Mike from the World yesterday. Blew my mind. I'm interviewing L.A. Marzulli tomorrow. Guys, the webinar is 49 hours away. You have 49 hours. So get your tickets right now so I can send you your link exactly at 6 p.m. on Friday night. You got 49 hours. Countdown to the alien encounters. You'll love this webinar is all I can say. You will love it. And I also filmed my teaching on the 10th chapter on aliens, Nephilims, extraterrestrials, and the Great Deception from my book, Revelation 9/11, chapter 10. It was a great teaching. Israel said, best teaching I've ever done on that subject for sure. Okay, now let me tell you what's going on, okay? Because what we have here, first of all, we got some good news and some good news. I wish I could say that at the Patreon news, but I can't. But at least I could say it here. There is some really good news here. Russia and Ukraine have just swapped hundreds of prisoners in a prisoner exchange, one of the largest exchanges of prisoners in the war. Russia and Ukraine say they each swapped 175 prisoners in one of the largest exchanges of the war, and that's a great sign. Russia and Ukraine said today they had each swapped these prisoners, and this is the largest prisoner exchange since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. We are bringing back the soldiers, the sergeants, the officers, the warriors who fought for our freedom in the ranks of the armed forces, the Navy, and the National Guard. According to the Territorial Defense Forces, the Border Guard Service, according to Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky. The Ukrainian leaders said today that releasing all prisoners of war as well as captured civilians would be a very important step toward peace and could help build trust between the two nations. He has repeatedly called for an all-for-all prisoner exchange. This comes as ongoing discussions about a temporary ceasefire may pause the war in the next few days. Shortly after this exchange took place near the northern border of the two warring countries, dozens of anxious family members rushed to a hospital in Ukraine to receive and to see the released prisoners. Among them was a 28-year-old who had been campaigning for nearly 3 years for the return of her fiancé, who was captured back in April of 2022 during the brutal battle there of Mariupol, and eventually fell to the Russian forces. Finally, after 3 years, he has just been released. So there's some. This is a very positive move between both Ukraine and Russia, that they could agree to swap 175 prisoners apiece. This is a very, very positive move. Now, there's more positive news. President Trump has been on the phone with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Here's what we found out. Just a few minutes ago, the U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky announced they had had a very good and frank phone call that lasted just over an hour, in which they discussed the next steps for the U.S.-led initiative to stop the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Zelensky has requested additional air defense systems to protect Ukraine, with Trump agreeing to work with him to find what was available, particularly in Europe. Now, Ukraine has also formally agreed to the very limited halt on airstrikes on energy and infrastructure facilities in Russia, with further talks expected on expanding this limited ceasefire to include the Black Sea and eventually a full ceasefire. Zelensky has indicated Ukraine's support for an unconditional ceasefire and committed Ukraine to continue working to make this happen. Trump suggested to Zelensky that the United States take ownership of all Ukrainian electrical supply and nuclear power plants. Trump saying this could be very helpful for Ukraine, and this would be the best way to protect your infrastructure. The pair also discussed a number of other issues, including the situation in Kursk region and the humanitarian concerns, including the abducted children and prisoners of war. Further talks are also expected in the coming days in Saudi Arabia, as meetings will be held between the United States and Russia in Saudi Arabia. The White House press secretary confirmed that the U.S. intelligence sharing in terms of defense of Ukraine will continue, and she sidestepped questions over minor differences between the U.S. and Russian readouts of the Trump-Putin call. But speaking in Finland before his call with Trump, Zelensky appeared to back very stronger sanctions on Russia in a bid to exert U.S. pressure on Moscow to negotiate a broader ceasefire. Earlier, he accused Vladimir Putin of maybe making comments at odds with reality. But Zelensky has since changed his tune after his conversation with Trump, saying that there is a path to peace. Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelensky had a very good telephone call, folks, today. And that's on the heels of Trump's lengthy, very positive phone call with Vladimir Putin yesterday. And this is the first time Trump and Zelensky have had a conversation with each other since that disastrous showdown at the White House 3 weeks ago. Zelensky, though, described this call as very positive, very substantive, and frank. And he said he signed up to the partial ceasefire that Trump agreed with Vladimir Putin earlier during the day. Now, the White House said Trump had promised to help with Ukrainian requests to source more air defense batteries, meanwhile, for Kiev in Ukraine. The last encounter, though, between Trump and Zelensky ended in a pretty angry exchange of words, as you guys know, between the two presidents and the Vice President, J.D. Vance. But on this conversation, things are changing. Trump has moved Putin a little closer to a ceasefire, and Zelensky also moved as well. So in the last 24 hours, President Donald Trump has done a miraculous move in getting both of these leaders on this very hostile war that's been going on for over 3 years, both of them moving to a partial ceasefire right now, not to bomb each other's energy and infrastructures. Okay. And then just a few minutes ago, we found out that also that Ukraine and Russia just did the largest prisoner exchange of the war of 175 prisoners each. Russia released 175 Ukrainian prisoners. Ukraine released 175 Russian prisoners. Positive conversations going on right now between President Zelensky. I'm encouraged by his substantive phone call with Donald Trump, is what Putin said today. That's important. Halting strikes on energy and other civilian infrastructure would be an important first real step towards ending the war. We will continue our discussions with President Zelensky tomorrow at the European Council. So now getting involved will be Antonio Costa. He is the European Union president. So tomorrow at the European Council, he's going to have some conversations with Zelensky, assuring Zelensky that the European Union is there and that things are going to move toward peace. So this is huge, guys. I mean, really, this really is. Now, anything could happen. Things could fall apart so fast, as you guys know, when you're talking about war, when you're talking about a very, very brutal war between these two nations. But the process has begun toward some type of ceasefire. They're at a partial ceasefire now. I'm saying that in the next 3 or 4 days, we could see this thing move into a ceasefire, and a permanent ceasefire, or at least a ceasefire. And then negotiations and conversations could begin toward a peace agreement and an ending to the war. This would be extremely positive. This really would. So pray about that. Now, I just did a Patreon video. I just did it. It's at Patreon. It is some inside information about the Middle East and some troop movements. Now, it's very important that you go over there. It's a short video, maybe a minute and a half. Get that quick information. It's available exclusively at my Patreon channel. Let me share some things I can share with you at the Middle East, and that is all of a sudden in Turkey's main rival to Erdogan for the presidency, the guy who is he is the mayor of Istanbul. The mayor of Istanbul, who's the number one rival politically to Erdogan of Turkey, was just arrested by Erdogan. Oh, no. Here we go again. I mean, we see this stuff in Russia with Navalny, who was arrested and then dies in prison, gets poisoned, gets arrested, then he dies. We've seen Donald Trump get arrested, go through lawfare. We've seen this in other third world countries, and now we're seeing it in Turkey. In other words, guys, the status quo of free and fair elections in many countries of the world are seeming to be falling apart to where whoever is in power is just imprisoning or arresting or even in some cases assassinating their opponents. This cannot be the way that this world operates. This cannot be, but this is what we're starting to see. JT says, I just bought my ticket for the webinar. Can't wait. JT, God bless you. We're 49 hours away. Guys, I can tell you. L.A. Marzulli, incredible. Mike from the world. When I interviewed him yesterday for this webinar, he dropped so many bombs. He went places I didn't know he would ever go. He brought forth some information that's recently been declassified, and he just blew my mind. And that's all I can say. I mean, it's just, I got the notes here. I wrote them down, these notes. He just blew my mind. And, oh, Mike from around the world. Oh, my Lord. So, guys, you definitely want to find out. So get your ticket for that. Laura Eisenhower was the best interview I've ever done with her. She goes and talks really a lot about the deep state and the assassination plots toward the key families of America who are not part of secret societies, and she's really referring to the Eisenhower family, the Kennedy family, and the Trump family. But she breaks down a lot of deep state stuff, including the black, Mars space program, and a lot of stuff, and Eisenhower's meetings with ETs and other stuff. So it's just incredible. Mike goes where I never thought he would ever go. He goes into some absolute he had so many subjects. I don't even want to, you know what? And he goes places I didn't think he'd ever go. Even discloses things about Sasquatch that just mind-boggling. But I mean, I just can't. I just can't even. Oh. And secret technologies, and also these breakaway civilizations, and what is going on in these secret government locations. You just want to get the ticket for what Mike from the World talked about. Heidi Begley, of course, is doing an incredible report called the Green Report. Rex Bear went everywhere. That's the best way to say that. Agent X is going to stun you with his inside information, of course. He being a government insider. And then also, of course, we've gotten tremendous information. Everybody in this thing has brought forth stuff that I've never heard of before. There's a lot of disclosure going on now, maybe not openly in the media, but it's being released now to those that are just one-off from the government agencies. It's very, very, and I just taught on my 10th chapter here, and part of Revelation 9:11, the 10th chapter on UFOs. And then, of course, we interviewed 15 people who were actually abducted, or either were abducted or had UFO encounters or alien encounters. 15 different people. And Rex Bear confirms and releases some information, what he experienced. Okay? So, I mean, this is unbelievable. Everybody's coming clean on this one, and we need it because we're in the era of disclosure. And what does that mean? I really break it down for you. Where Israel Hall said, Pastor Paul, this was the greatest explanation of what's really going on in this entire area of UFO alien, disclosure area, ET, fallen angels, interdimensional beings, angelic or demonic. Okay. He said, Pastor Paul, this was the greatest presentation you've ever done. He said, it needs to be broadcasted all over the world, really. And so you'll see when you, here. And then Bart Begley, my son Bart, does a tremendous documentary on alien encounters and all of them. But those 15 interviews, oh my Lord. So we got 49 hours. The webinar starts. Go get your tickets because I got to send you your link exactly at 6 p.m. on Friday night. So get it done. Get it done. Be ready. You'll be glad you did, I promise. I guarantee you will. And you'll say, this was the best webinar ever on this subject of aliens. No question. You will see. All right. I'll be back with more current world events. Again, check out Patreon. For those of you who are members of my Patreon channel, if you're not, you can become one very easy. You just go to Patreon and over at Paul Begley on Patreon, and you just sign up. You give whatever you want to give. You can give whatever you want to give. The average person gives $5 a month. Some give more, some give less. You give what you want to give. Then you get access to over 500 exclusive videos, and I'm putting them up there almost every day or every other day. I put one up yesterday. Just now put one up. So just go check it out at Patreon, okay? I'll be back with more. This is good news. Kimber says, I'm getting my tickets because of Heidi's report on the green. You made a right decision, Kimber. Heidi's green report is, if there was nothing else on here, her green report is worth getting the webinar. Just that. But I can promise you, Mike from around the world, blow your mind. And Laura Eisenhower really reveals the secrets of the deep state. And I mean, really. And she doesn't care at this point. I think she's no holds barred at this point. 15 personal accounts also that we interviewed, and Heidi's green report. So check it all out, guys. I'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. We're living in the end times, but there's some dangerous things happening right now. Find out at Patreon. I'll be on Getting Ready Tonight with Pastor Melvin. That starts at 7 p.m. Eastern at ffctv.church. I'll see you guys there tonight. Oh, and by the way, if you go to the Paul Begley podcast, I did an interview. Actually, me and my son, Paul Begley Jr., we did a podcast together. It's 59 minutes. It's at the Paul Begley podcast on YouTube. Go watch it. And if you're not a subscriber, go subscribe. I think we've got 350 subscribers right now. We're just getting started. We got to get that up over 500 subscribers here today or tomorrow. We need to get it up there. So if you haven't, our podcasts are amazing. The one we did with Israel last week was incredible. Israel Hall. We've got a great one I did with world boxing champion David Nino Rodriguez, which is insane. Josh Peck interview was crazy, but I did one. This week's podcast is with me and my son, talking about numerous events going on in the world. And, of course, he might be a chip off the old block. Just check it out, okay? That's the Paul Begley podcast. All right, guys, I'll let you go. I'll see you later. Get your tickets. What? Get your tickets. Run. Go get them now. Don't wait till the last second. If you have to, you have to. But get them today so we can get you in line, get your email ready, get your link ready to send it to you. So we have to manually input these things. Help me, folks. Help me. Get your tickets. Don't miss it.